I've got an analogy for you. The analogy is simple. A player, let's go with a baseball player.
All right, hit me.
Signs a 16-year contract.
It's a long deal.
Long deal,
yeah.
Right? Guarantees them hundreds of millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
3 years in, they see other players at their position, similar production, are getting paid more than they agreed to on their 16-year deal. Is the team required to start paying them market value despite the fact that they signed a 16-year deal? No. Right? Every time a player holds out and they have 5 years left on a deal, what happens? Everybody says you shouldn't have signed the deal. Right? You should have been aware of what the market value is going to be. You chose stability over being the top paid player. We talk about this all the time, right? We talk about this all the time. So let me ask you this, because this is what you would ask the player. You'd say, hey, if you performed well below your contract value, would you give some of it back?
No, we signed a deal.
Of course not. So that's why you don't get to go, ask for more. So now let's put this in terms of Florida State. Florida State signed a bad deal. Pretty much everyone in the ACC signed a bad deal when they signed their grant of rights deal, their media rights contract, right? And they agreed to be on this grant of rights, to be in this media contract with ESPN and the ACC network through 2036. Now they're looking around saying the Big Ten's getting paid more. The SEC is getting paid more. Pretty soon we're going to be getting paid way less. So I want out, says Florida State and their board of trustees and their president. They want out. We need a plan. We need to be more competitive financially. And I'm looking at them going, well, wait a second. Would you give money back if the Big Ten and the SEC signed deals to not make as much money as you? If it became a bad deal in the way of you were getting paid more than market value, would you give money back? No. So why in the heck do you think the ACC is going to bend over backwards or the ESPN, your media rights partner, is going to bend over backwards to give you more money 13 years before your contract expires? Why are the teams that want out of the ACC being given a pass on their bad decision? FSU is running from the ACC, and I see it, I hear it, right? Our YouTube comments are filled with it. By the way, follow us on YouTube, 99.9 The Fan. Comment, make sure you subscribe when you're there. I do respond to quite a few of the comments.
I see you going back and forth with people right now.
Right now, during commercials. And I'm seeing, why is it okay for the ACC to want to hold Florida State back? The ACC is crumbling. Florida State is looking out for themselves, trying to not be caught up in it. Why is that not cool? And I'm looking at it going, don't let the Florida State Seminoles off the hook. Whatever bad decision the ACC made, Florida State made. They're a part of it, right? They've been a part of the ACC since 1992. These deals have not been in place since the 80s, right? They were around. They made their bed. Now they're trying to run away from lying in it, and you're defending them. Why should they worry about protecting the other ACC schools? They shouldn't. That's what the grant of rights was for. Right? That's what the media deal was for. It was to protect everybody in the ACC. Why does Florida State have to be stuck in this situation? How about because they signed a contract guaranteeing they would stick in the situation? Right? Look at any walk of life. You can't agree to a contract like a 30-year mortgage, say. Halfway through, go, my house is worth more or worth less than this. I want to pay less. Well, no. You agreed to it. The ACC, make no mistake about it, right? I'm not defending the grant of rights. The ACC is locked into a terrible grant of rights and a terrible media rights deal. It is airtight. The lawyers should be given a gold star for not leaving any loopholes for teams to bail, at least not that they've found yet. But don't say the ACC wants to hold Florida State and Clemson or North Carolina or anyone else who wants out hostage. Those schools, in a way, are holding themselves hostage, right? Those schools from the past are holding those schools in the current hostage because they made a bad decision then. Like this, sometimes I think people forget that the ACC is just a group of schools, right? So when Florida State is accusing the ACC of holding them hostage, or Florida State fans are accusing the ACC of holding them hostage, they're really accusing partially themselves, right? It's like saying, I don't know, like your foot is being held hostage by your body. It's like, no, you're a part of, right? You're a part of this thing. And signing a bad deal that becomes a bad deal doesn't, like, actually we just kind of talked about it with the 20-year lease with Phil Isley of the authority there. Centennial Authority is the word I was going for. And their agreement with the Hurricanes, right? They have built in like 15 years from now, we can reevaluate and see if this is still worthy of that and this is still worthy of that. If the Florida State and the ACC was more forward thinking when they signed the deal that went to 2036, they would have had and in 2024, we should all renegotiate this, or we should look into this and see if certain escalators were met or whatever it is to get more money. Right? Actually, you know what would have been smart? Nick Saban, I remember this. I think this was when he was at LSU, but it may still be in effect when he's at Alabama. He has like clauses that say if he wins the national championship, he'll be paid at least $1 more than the highest paid college coach in the country, right? Though, like, those incentives are built in. And I want to say at least once, I may be making this up and saying it just would have been a cool moment, that like on the field after he wins national championships, the athletic director comes down and like gives him the dollar bill and says, this is the $1 you'll be paid more than anyone. If they don't do that, they should. But like the ACC, I mean, maybe you should have had comparison clauses, right? We want to get paid at least this much and no worse than 80% of what the SEC or Big Ten are getting, right? If you wanted to protect yourself against that, you had to protect yourself against that. You can't make a bad agreement and then double back and at this point in time throw a hissy fit because the bad agreement is bad. Just like nowhere else in business can you make a 15, 20-year commitment in contract, and then if it's not working out for you, go expect the other side, who, by the way, signed a good contract, to rip theirs up. Unless you make it worth their while, right? Now you're in a negotiation also. All right, let's renegotiate. But if we do, we'll commit longer, or we'll give you this, or we'll do that. Right? You can't just expect because you want it or you feel underpaid to be better paid. I mean, you see it in professional sports all the time, right? The CBA. All right, here's what we're asking for during the next CBA negotiations. They don't just say, here's what we're going to ask for right now. Right? You got to wait for the agreement you already made to expire. It's not just the ACC that made bad decisions. Each individual team signed that deal also.